Good evening. We're going to talk about discipline today. And I had a video and a couple of posts about discipline. And that's just really stuck with me all day long. So I think I want to talk more about discipline. And before we start that, I want to ask a couple of mental health check-in questions with you guys because I think it's very important that you guys take a beat, stop and think about yourself because I know you always give a lot of yourself throughout the days, whether it's to work, family, or other obligations. So just take a few seconds, even a couple of minutes, just to stop and reflect about these questions I'm going to ask you because I think it's really important to check in with yourself. How are you today? Really, how are you today? Not just okay, but how are you today physically? How are you today mentally, excuse me? And if you feel great, that's great. Think about what made you feel great today and hold on to that. And if you don't feel that great today, mentally or physically, that is okay. That is so okay. I just want you to be honest with yourself because a lot of times we're always on the go, on the go, on the go, on the go. We never stop and think about ourselves in any form of capacity, not knowing that we have this thing lingering in the back of our heads. It's kind of just bogging us down. So if you don't feel okay, that is okay. And you know what? If you don't feel okay, if I were you, or my recommendation is just pull out a piece of paper and write down exactly how you feel. Just give yourself that moment to write it down and read it back to yourself and ask yourself these questions. Is this important enough for me to keep carrying around? Is this something that's outside of my control? And if there's something that's within my control, what can I do to help remedy the situation? And the next question I have is, what are you grateful for today? There's always, 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 no matter how your day has been, there's always something to be grateful for today. You're up, you're alive. And like I always say, anything can change at any second, any minute, any hour, any day. Anything can change. And now I'm going to move back to the subject at hand, which is discipline. And I love this book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. I do recommend it. This is not any kind of promo or anything like that. He breaks down discipline in such an effortless way, in many ways, in which I've never thought about ever before in life. But the quote that sticks out to me the most, because sometimes we get discouraged about our goals and our dreams, and it's not necessarily about just hammering away all the time. So this quote I hope resonates with you. And the quote goes as follows: You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. And that's by James Clear. And what that means is our everyday habits, our small habits, build up and compound over time to give us the results that we're seeing now. Like, for instance, I'll give you a great example, of within my life. Back when I was younger, I was very, 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 very disciplined. I cooked healthy. I looked up nutrition. I worked out like a madman. And I had abs galore. I could run. I can jump. I had energy for days. And as I gotten older, that had kind of slowed down. Many things have happened. Yeah, I worked out. Yeah, I go really hard in the gym. But what was lacking was the nutrition aspect. And I used to be very, very, very strict on my diets. I used to be very strict. Yeah, I would go out and have my fun on the weekend, but that was the weekend. But whenever the weekday came, it was just straight cooking, salmon, chicken, vegetables, hit the gym, work out at home. I was everywhere and then some. And I correlate that to my present day now because I've noticed the lacking for me. And I would try to get back on track, and I never understood why I could never just stick to the nutrition plan that I know works, that I know is good for me. And it wasn't because of the lack of want, it was because of the lack of my system. What I would do is I would get strict, 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 strict. And then here I go on the weekend. It's always the weekend for me. And have a very big weakness for pastries. I know, I love it, sue me. But what I would do is I would get some, like the right adequate amount, and then because I'm bored later, then I go on for another snack, and then another snack, and then I'm snacking more than I'm eating, and it just screws up the whole entire discipline that I have built up throughout the week. And then I gotta go and figure out that system all over again. I'm like, why am I constantly bumping the road? I know. I know, and I have to take accountability for that because I do bust my behind in the gym. I am very strict. I'm very gung ho into my workouts. And although I have progress, it is not the progress that I would like. And that is because of my systems I'm falling short on my systems. And I need to get that together. But that's just a little bit about me. But the point I'm making is if you have a goal, anything in mind, you break it down to its most simplest forms and you create a system around the goal. The goal is, I wouldn't say the end all be all, but your habits should be the most end all be all because your habits are going to compound and you're going to reach greater heights more than what you ever could have known and ever wanted. But this starts with understanding your why. Why do you want this goal? And when you understand your why, you're more willing to figure out the small decisions that you need to make on an everyday basis to attain your goal. Do not be discouraged if you take a couple steps back, but you get yourself back when you're progressing. You get yourself back immediately and you double down. You are not a failure. You are not a failure. You get up, you do your best, and watch yourself grow. Celebrate the small wins. Do not wait until the goal is met. Celebrate your small wins along the way. It is the most encouraging, most dopamine-like effect. Say, for instance, you want to lose, I don't know, 30 pounds. Let's just say 30 pounds. And along the way, you lost 5. Celebrate the 5. When you celebrate that 5, you are about a good 90% more likely to keep going and keep going and keep going. And that's okay. You're on a journey, not a race. It's a journey. But before I get out the video, I always like to say a couple of positive affirmations. It's just the seeds that we plant within ourselves. And when we constantly say them to ourselves, it's like us watering. And then we just watch it come out from within, you know? And I want to say it 3 times. You can say it in your head. You can say it out loud. You can even skip this part, but I do recommend it. I am grateful. I am blessed. I am lucky. I am grateful. I am blessed. I am lucky. I am grateful. I am blessed. And I am lucky. Now, I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful evening and a great night's rest. Bye.